I'm Mike Bithell. I'm one of the directors of Bithell Games, and we make indie games. Thomas Was Alone, Volume, Subsurface Circular, John Wick, Hex. We've done too many games, if anything. What's great is we've been a remote studio since 2013. We kind of were weirdly well prepared for this situation. But I think the thing that impacted us most was everything outside of our little bubble kind of going to the same system. It was fascinating. There were some positives, video calls got better because suddenly all the companies that made video calls got some investment and made their tools work a little bit better. So we kind of benefited in some ways from like processes improving, the way in which we access services improving because it better suited the way we were working anyway. But then, of course, massive challenges in terms of the kind of the cultural safety net that we all had kind of stepping away. We had lots of kind of mental health challenges on the team, people who suddenly weren't seeing their friends, and that it was all of that stuff that kind of impacted us more than any kind of practicality around offices. It was the world kind of outside of our little bubble changing so much that it impacted us in that way. So I'd say that was the biggest impact. I think the other aspect for us is we're a business that relies on lots of partnerships and working with people. And, obviously those opportunities to kind of casually run into people kind of went away. No one accidentally starts a Zoom call. And that took away some of the organic kind of opportunities that we have as a company. We were fortunate in that, we've got a reputation that allowed us to kind of schedule Zoom calls. But at the same time, you do wonder what you've missed out on potentially in that way. But yeah, for us, generally quite a low impact. I think the thing that I find most encouraging about the adaptations that the games industry in general, but development studios in particular, have made during the pandemic, I'm hearing a lot more. I'm hearing a lot more bosses talking with emotional maturity about their people who work for them. Like there's a definite kind of awareness of people in a way that I don't remember hearing before as strongly. Obviously, I'm not saying, obviously people have been caring in the past, but it feels like those issues have kind of come to the forefront for a lot of people. And that kind of, that gives me some hope that we may continue to see positive change in terms of how employees are treated in the games industry, which is something I care a great deal about. And that's something that I'm super encouraged by. I think everyone's been forced to think more about the people around them because the people around them have been either literally locked in a house with them or have been kind of locked in a company with them. And I think that's led to kind of an emotional maturity that feels new or feels like it's being talked about more, which is a step to a change. I'm hopeful for the future of indie development in the UK because we've always been great at it. Like we've always, like if you look back, I mean the British games industry, the stalwarts, the kind of the old guard, they all started, with these kind of accessible PCs in the 80s. And they were making what we would now call indie games, and grand companies were started as a result. And I think throughout the relatively short history of the games industry, British developers have definitely been at the point of innovation, at the point of starting from tiny acorns. And I think that's, pun intended, I think that's something that we kind of excel at. And I think culturally there is definitely a motivation to make interesting work here. And also kind of a do-it-yourself attitude when it comes to computing and as a result games that I don't think's gone anywhere. I think that's still here, and I still see kind of new independent developers every day kind of trying these new things. I think the other thing that's very exciting is at the end of the business where people are more established and they've made more games. We've definitely seen lots of investment and lots of opportunities for developers to kind of step up to that next level and to make bigger projects. So I feel like at all stages of what indie is and what indie's kind of morphed into and kind of surpassed a specific definition of indie game development, I think we're seeing opportunity in the UK, which is very exciting. I think ultimately one of the massive affordances of being independent is that I can be flexible, and I think a piece of advice I give to new developers kind of starting out, early is that inspiration and creative drive is not constant. It's something that ebbs and flows, and you kind of have a freedom as an independent developer to kind of follow when that happens. If you're having an afternoon where nothing's coming together, you can go and do something else. You can take a break, or you can do something which doesn't require any creativity. And I'm very fortunate that I have the freedom to kind of, do the kind of work I want to be doing when I want to be doing it, and that's something that I'm very grateful and privileged to have that freedom. And yeah, I tend to have my best ideas at very weird times, and I try to balance that around keeping a balanced life. The thing that stands out to me about Develop, it's definitely the people. It's definitely the kind of casual atmosphere and the ability to catch up with people. I love seeing the indies here each year. I think there's always a really good showing, and a really good place to kind of meet the new generation coming in. Because that's of course the thing with games, is it's never the same people. As much as it's fun to see old friends, there's also always the new folks who are making something really exciting, something that's going to change the industry, right? And that's neat to see every year. And I think Develop often finds those people nice and early, and puts their work kind of in front of us, and I love that. So that's probably my favorite aspect.